We have no business in Syria whatsoever, military or otherwise. I want her to vote no on the strike on Syria.
I am speechless how you can take bribes from many different corporations and not represent the American people as the Constitution told you to. The corruption is sickening America. How are we supposed to fix Syria when we can't even fix Detroit? We don't need no more war. We need peace. We need education. We need to fix America. We need better health care, more affordable health care.
I don't know you personally. I know you by the consequences of your actions. You completely disregarded the wishes of your constituents. You and your cronies run around privatizing everything, indeed privatizing people's lives. So this action is a chance for me to privatize you for a minute. Your space has been commodified by someone outside of your purview. It boils down to a class thing. They're going to be squeezed out by their own consequences. And if they persist in giving personhood to corporations and government bodies and hiding behind that, then those little bodies and entities, they'll be affected like personal people. They'll be injured, they may be imprisoned or shut down. So I'm a big fan of the 40-day general strike. We have plenty of opportunities to do that. All of us in the movement are already on like our 4-year strike, our 40-year strike, to the old brothers and sisters who are finally coming back and saying, we never went away, we were writing all the books that you knuckleheads were reading, like Abby Hoffman, you know, like Guy Debord, the elders that turn us on in a way that helps us keep that torch alive for the ones behind us, the kids. Pelosi, Feinstein, think about the kids that you're affecting, but apparently you don't. Consequences are going to come in the form of financial strangleholds, boycotts, sanctions, if you will, on the establishment itself. If we can get the people to let go of their comfort zones when it comes to having to buy stuff all the time. A 33-inch television is so much obviously better than a 32-inch television. Yeah. So you're going to get stuck into that. That's how they do it, through commodification, right? Then what they do is they hit that with an educational agenda, right? It's a very narrow and limited vision of world history. They reduce access to arts, athletics, civic studies, things like that, in favor of like economically oriented education. It's just going to get more agitational, and it's just going to get more uncomfortable as people get more and more upset. I mean, we'd rather have waving a banner around than a rifle. We need to look to what's happening in Syria and around the world and realize that the establishment, whoever is running that, whatever color the face is of the boss of the country, you know, has to bear in mind that these banners may become bullets. I don't advocate that, man. But the actions of these politicians doing this blatant kind of crap, the banks doing this blatant kind of shit, we're going to have to get blatant too. So sorry if we interrupted your broadcast day with some chalking. I mean, the woman saw us at the top of the hill and she fled. We saw her leave, so we were obviously close enough to where she could have seen us coming.
Nancy Pelosi, I want you to vote against striking Syria. I don't want to start any new wars. We already had a lot of wars and thousands of people died, and I just want peace and peaceful negotiations, and you know, people don't have to start new wars in order to improve situation in Syria. I mean, there are other methods. And Barack Obama got Nobel Peace Prize, and that's a contradiction to start a new war. It doesn't make any sense to me. So just don't make things worse in the world.
Nancy, I pushed my bike up the hill and arrived here completely out of breath and very upset with you. Everyone I speak to here in the Bay Area is against going to war with Syria, against any kind of military assault. We are for humanitarian aid. We are for helping the 2 million refugees on the ground, and we don't see how bombing Syria is going to do that. I made calls to Washington, D.C. I've made calls to your San Francisco office this week. You actually have some pretty rude staff. They barely even hear you finish a sentence before they put you over to a recording. I understand these calls are happening all over the place this week. Yet, I heard you say that you are going to support Obama's draft to make this move to start bombing Syria, and probably you're going to vote that way on Monday. And I did also hear you say that it wasn't the way that your constituents want you to vote. almost 60% of our budget for this year is being spent on military spending. Your tax dollars and my tax dollars are going to the wrong place. For us to say that we're going to war with Syria over chemical warfare it's a serious thing that's happening over there. It's horrible, but it's also horrible that we have killed almost 300 children in the last 4 years with our drone strikes. It is also horrible that we use chemicals in warfare in Vietnam and in Iraq. So that's a very hypocritical statement to be making, and it's not a good reason to be doing that. So let's share intelligence with other nations. Let's actually listen to what the UN has to say right now, because I think their representatives might have some ideas that are different from taking a military position here, and actually listen to your constituents.
Nancy Pelosi was elected to represent our opinions and do what we want to do, and we don't want this war. America doesn't want this war. I don't want this war. And Nancy Pelosi, if you vote for this war, then you do not represent my opinion.
What are you going to do? Are you going to vote?
We're going to give her a really hard time. We're going to stay here like we're camped out in front of her house right now, and we're going to be here even more. We're going to, make her life very difficult.
She needs to listen to us. We do not need to get into another war. She does not need to vote for any more war. We don't need any more military funding. We've really had it. She's not representing us, and she even knows that she's doing things that don't represent us. Because of the polls, people in San Francisco are very much against war. We try to have appointments to talk with her, and the scheduler always says, oh, she's busy for 2 months, and then 2 months goes by and she's busy for the next 2 months. We need diplomacy. We don't need more military. We've had enough military.
So if she doesn't do this, what's going to happen?
We're going to continue to be out here hassling her. We all have much better things to do, but this is important. People are going to be dying, and she's responsible. And we're responsible if we don't give her a kick in the butt.
Dianne, I've been a constituent of yours for 30 years. Your record on war is terrible. This new thing that you're doing of putting out copies of the chemical attack in Syria and distributing it to people as if the only choice is to strike against them is completely muddling the argument. You can be against chemical weapons, and you can be against killing children, and also be against war and be against strikes. In fact, if you're really worried about killing children, then you will not be for striking at Syria and starting another war there. The last thing this country needs is yet another engagement in the Middle East. We need the funds that you put into the military and the military-industrial complex for the social programs at home. People are really suffering in this country, and they're false austerity cuts, and it's all because that money is going into the military, millions and billions of dollars, and it's polluting the environment. It's killing us to have that kind of a system and that kind of a policy, and you really need to take a leadership role and make it stop.
Congresswoman Pelosi, I feel like tearing my hair out at times because you are leading this country into yet one more war, which we cannot afford. We have people here in this country that need to be taken care of. We've made such cuts in education. My daughter teaches in Chicago in an underprivileged community, and she just let me know that they put 40 desks in her classroom. And these are underprivileged kids. They're going to get less than mediocre attention. Every time a cruise missile crashes into Syria, if we start bombing that country, that's $2 million lost for war. But Raytheon, who makes the cruise missile, their stocks are skyrocketing right now. Nancy Pelosi, are you invested in Raytheon? Stop this madness. Stop it.
Nancy, we go to your office down at Mission and 7th and try to let you know you're representative of the people. We are the people. We try to tell you what we think. Your staff there won't even talk to us. They won't even come down into the street. They block us from going up to your office. These people out here who are protesting you, they're pretty loving people. You are promoting going in and bombing them after they were gassed? We love those people. We are those people. Shame on you for promoting this. This is an act of hatred, an act of war. We are loving people in San Francisco. We will not tolerate this.